Jonas was tired. Tired of jobs that paid too little and bosses who didn't care. So when he saw the ad, he clicked it right away. Farming assistant needed. Isolated zone. High pay. Full care. Must be human. That last line, must be human, felt strange. But he was too broke to care. 3 days later, he was flying across stars in a cold shuttle. No windows. No name of the place. Just a robotic voice saying, "You will arrive soon." He tried asking questions. What kind of farm? How many workers? What will I be growing? No one answered. When the shuttle landed, he was met by 2 tall guards. They wore full armor, no faces showing. One held a scanner and ran it over Jonas's chest. "He's clean. Bring him in." They walked him through long gray halls. Everything smelled like metal and bleach. Too clean, too empty. He passed rooms with thick glass walls. Inside were machines, pods. Some had glowing lights, some had red stains. "Where are the crops?" Jonas asked. No answer. Finally, they stopped in front of a large black door. A woman in a white lab coat stood there. She smiled, but her eyes didn't. "You're the new milker," she said softly. Jonas blinked. "Milker?" She handed him a tablet. "You'll learn fast. The girls need daily help. Too much buildup and it gets painful." "What girls?" he asked. She tapped the door. It opened slowly with a heavy hiss. What he saw made him step back. 6 beings stood in a white, warm-looking room. Soft light glowed from the ceiling. Plants hung from the walls. It looked peaceful. But the girls inside were not human. They were tall, slim, and slightly glowing. Each had smooth skin that shifted colors, blue, green, silver. Their hair floated gently, like it was underwater. And their chests were full, swollen, dripping. The smallest one turned and looked at Jonas. Her eyes were too big, too round. She tilted her head like a curious child. "He's the new one," she said in a voice like wind chimes. He looked scared. Another one giggled. Jonas took a step back. This isn't a farm." The woman in the lab coat stepped beside him. "Oh, but it is. Just not the kind you're used to." She pointed to the tablet. "Read the guide. Their species produces high-value protein. If not collected daily, it becomes toxic. They get sick, even die." Jonas's hands shook as he held the tablet. "And you want me to milk them?" The smallest girl walked closer. She didn't wear much. Just a light cloth around her hips. Her body shimmered like starlight. "Please," she whispered. "It hurts." Jonas looked at her. She wasn't afraid, but her eyes, those big glowing eyes, held pain. He looked around. No one else was helping them. Just him. "Why me?" he asked. The woman smiled again. "They respond better to humans. We don't know why. Maybe your touch, maybe your scent. But I'm not trained. I'm not a doctor. You'll learn, or they'll suffer." Jonas stared at the smallest girl. Her hands were on her chest now, breathing heavy. A drop of white liquid slid down her stomach. He had 2 choices, walk away or try. He took a deep breath. "What do I do?" She took his hand. Her skin was soft, warm, trembling. "Just hold me. Like this." He followed her lead. Awkward, nervous, gentle. As he touched her chest, she gasped, but didn't pull away. A soft blue light glowed under her skin. Then it began. A slow stream. Warm. Smooth. She sighed in relief. "Thank you," she whispered. "You're kind." The other girls watched, curious. Some looked hopeful. Others looked jealous. Jonas didn't understand. Not fully, but he knew one thing now. This wasn't just a job. This was a secret. A living, breathing secret locked away from the galaxy. And he had just stepped into the middle of it. As he finished with the first girl, she rested her head on his shoulder. "Stay with us," she whispered. "You're not like the others." He looked back at the door. It had closed behind him, and there was no lock on his side. The next morning, Jonas didn't wake up in his room. He was already awake, because something was watching him. His eyes opened slowly. His breath caught. One of the alien girls stood beside his bed, silent, not blinking. Her glowing eyes locked on his face. She looked like the one he helped yesterday, but something was different. Her glow was brighter. Her skin had golden lines that weren't there before. "You touched me," she whispered, "and now I feel strange." Jonas sat up, asked, What are you doing in here?" The door behind her was locked. The camera in the corner blinked red, but no alarm rang. It was like the system let her in. "I followed your scent," she said. "I needed to see if it was real. I needed to know if you did something to me." "I didn't do anything," Jonas said. "I just helped you. You were in pain." She stepped closer. "Yes, and now I'm not." Her voice dropped, soft but sharp. "You fixed something inside me." She reached out, touched his chest. He froze. "When you pressed here," she said, pressing her palm flat on him, "something unlocked in me. Something old. Something hidden." Jonas moved back, but she followed. Then she lifted her hand and showed him her skin. It was changing. Tiny glowing lines moved like veins of light. Her chest pulsed with energy. Not pain, power. "None of the others changed after being milked," she said. "Only me. Only with you." He shook his head. "You must be confused. I didn't do anything special." But she just smiled. "Maybe. You did." The door behind her hissed open suddenly. 2 guards entered. Behind them, the woman in the lab coat. "Ah," she said, looking amused. "So, it begins." Jonas stood up. "What do you mean it begins?" "She came into my room." "Uninvited? Did she hurt you?" the woman asked. Jonas paused. "No." Then she was allowed. The woman walked in slowly. Her shoes echoed on the floor. "You see," she said, "her kind was made in a lab, spliced from warrior and breeder species. But something in their DNA was incomplete." She looked at the glowing girl. "Until now." The girl stared at Jonas, then whispered, "He activated me." "What?" Jonas said. "What does that mean?" The woman nodded. "We don't fully know yet, but your touch, your connection is changing her, unlocking something ancient." She turned to the guards. "Bring in the others. We'll test them one by one." With him, Jonas stepped back. "I'm not some test machine." The woman smiled coldly. "You signed the contract, you agreed to assist. I didn't agree to experiments." "No," she said. "But your body already agreed." Jonas looked at his hands. They didn't feel different, but inside, something was. When the other alien girls came into the room, they didn't speak. They stared at him with wide, curious eyes. One reached out. "Is it true?" she asked. "Did you change her?" Jonas didn't answer, but the golden girl walked to him, and without a word, took his hand and placed it gently on the chest of the next girl. The girl gasped, her body tensed, her eyes rolled back. Then she moaned softly and started to glow. "There," the scientist said, eyes wide. "It's happening again." Jonas backed away. "No, no more. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not in control." But the girls began to move closer, surrounding him one by one, glowing, breathing harder, changing. And Jonas? He felt it too. Something in his blood, in his bones, like a pulse answering theirs. He wasn't just helping anymore. He was part of the reaction. As alarms suddenly rang across the hallway and red lights flashed, Jonas looked at the lead girl. "What's happening?" Her voice was calm. "They're afraid now," she said. "Afraid of you." The hallway lights went out. Everything turned red. Sirens screamed. Doors locked shut. Jonas stood frozen in the middle of the room, surrounded by glowing alien girls, each one breathing fast, their bodies reacting, changing. But only one of them moved forward. The smallest one, the first one he ever touched. She grabbed his hand. "They know," she whispered. "They saw the light inside us." "What do you mean?" Jonas asked, heart racing. "You triggered it. The old code inside us, the one they buried. Now they want to shut us down." "Shut you down?" he repeated. "Yes," she said. "We're not just girls, we're not just milkers. We're failed weapons." Jonas blinked. "What?" "Come," she said. "I'll show you." She ran. He followed. They moved fast through the silent halls. No guards in sight, no scientists, just flickering red lights and cold metal walls. "Where is everyone?" he asked. "Evacuating," she said. "Your touch scared them. They passed strange doors marked with warning signs, rooms Jonas hadn't seen before." "Where are we going?" he asked. "The place they keep the others," she said. "The ones who didn't survive." Jonas slowed down. "Others?" She looked back. The ones who were too strong. The ones who glowed too fast. They locked them away. They reached a black door with 4 hand scanners. The alien girl pressed her hand against one, then looked at him. "Your turn." "Me?" "Yes. Your body is the key now." Hesitant, Jonas touched the scanner. It glowed, then clicked. The door opened. What he saw next made him take a step back. Rows of glass tanks. Dozens of them. Maybe more. Inside each tank floated a girl like her, but silent, still, and barely glowing. Some looked asleep, others looked broken. "They were like me," she said. "But they didn't have you." Jonas turned toward her. "What did they do to them?" They called. "It testing," she said. "But it was torture. They fed us chemicals. Drained us every hour. Pushed us to glow faster." "Why?" She looked down. "They wanted to sell us. To warlords. To alien kings. As weapons. Or breeders." Jonas stepped back. "And I helped them?" She touched his chest gently. "No," she said. "You woke us, made us remember we're not just machines." Sirens rang louder now. An alarm screamed. "Dangerous subjects active. Human contact detected. Lockdown in effect." The girl grabbed Jonas's arm. "We don't have much time." "What do you want from me?" he asked. Her eyes glowed stronger now, more than ever before. "Help us escape. Take us off this planet. Somewhere they can't find us." "I don't even know where we are," Jonas shouted. "I don't know how to fly a ship." "You don't have to," she whispered. "We do." Jonas stared at her, at the tanks, at the flashing red lights. Everything inside him screamed to run away. But her voice, her hand, her eyes. "Please," she said. "They'll kill us all, and they'll kill you too, now that you've touched us." Jonas clenched his fists. "Then let's get out." They ran again, back through the halls, this time toward the loading bays. As they moved, more alien girls joined them, glowing, silent, powerful. One held a card. Another hacked a panel. They had planned this. They had waited. For him. As the final door opened into a wide black hangar, Jonas saw something that made him stop. A ship. Small. Fast, not locked. And beside it, guards. He turned to the lead girl. "You trust me?" he asked. "With my life," she said. He nodded. "Then stay behind me." He stepped forward, hands raised. "Wait!" he shouted to the guards. "I'm here to help. Don't shoot." They raised weapons anyway, but before they fired, the girl behind him screamed, not in fear, in power. Her body burst into blue fire, not burning but glowing like lightning. She raised her hand and the guns melted. The guards fell back, screaming. Jonas looked at her, shocked. "You said you weren't weapons." "I said we were made to be," she whispered. "But now, we're free to choose." He turned toward the ship. "Then let's go." The ship shook as it left the planet's dark orbit. Inside, Jonas sat on the cold floor, breathing hard. His hands still burned from touching the controls. He wasn't a pilot, but the girls had helped guide him. Now, they were free. At least, they thought they were. "How far until we're safe?" he asked. The girl beside him, the one who first touched him, didn't answer. Her skin was flickering, not glowing. Flickering, like her body couldn't decide what it was becoming. "Are you okay?" Jonas whispered. She looked at him. Her eyes were brighter than before, glowing white now, not blue, and her voice had changed. It was deeper, fuller. "Strange. Your touch didn't just wake me," she said softly. "It rewrote me." Jonas stood slowly. "What do you mean?" She held out her arm. Veins of silver light pulsed under her skin. "We were created to serve, to produce, to obey. But when you touched me, when you showed kindness, something ancient woke up." "What something?" "The original code," she said. "Our true form." Jonas watched as her hands shook, her back arched, and something grew down her spine. He stepped forward. "You're changing again." "I'm evolving," she whispered. "And so are the others." He looked around. The other girls were resting, some breathing deep, others curled up, glowing softly. But one girl, quiet, tall, and silver-skinned, suddenly screamed. Jonas ran to her. "What's wrong?" Her skin split open at the shoulders. Not blood, but glowing fluid spilled out. "She's not ready," another girl shouted. "Pull her back." "How? You're the only one who can," they all said at once. Jonas stared at the girl, her eyes wild, her body twitching. He didn't know what to do. He reached out. His hands touched her face gently, firmly. "Hey," he whispered. "It's okay. I'm here." Her shaking slowed. The glow dimmed, her chest heaved, but her body stopped breaking. "Your presence," one girl said quietly. "It calms the storm." "What storm?" Jonas asked. "Us," the first girl said. "We are the storm." He stepped back, breathing fast. "Why me?" he asked. "Why is it only me?" The first girl walked closer. She placed his hand on her chest again. Her skin sparked. Her veins lit up. "Because you're not just a human anymore," she whispered. Jonas felt it, a warmth under his skin. His fingertips tingled. His heart beat, too slow, too strong. He staggered to the wall. "What's happening to me?" "Your body," she said, "is adapting to ours." "What?" "Your blood touched our energy," she said. "Now your cells are learning, growing." "But I didn't ask for this." "Neither did we," she said softly. "But now we're all changing." The ship lights flickered. A warning beeped. Unknown biosignature spreading. Pilot unrecognized. Human genome altered. Jonas backed away from the control panel. "They'll track us," he said. "If the ship sees me as this." "We're already being tracked," one girl said. "They tagged us. Our heat, our scent, even our thoughts. Can we remove the tags?" The first girl looked serious. "Only one way. Full merge." "What's that mean?" She reached for his hand, placed it on her chest again. Her voice was soft, steady, almost sacred. "You must become one of us. Not fully alien, not fully human. Something new." Jonas stared at her. His heart told him no. His bones told him yes, and somewhere deep inside, something pulsed like a second heartbeat. His, but not his alone. The ship floated in the shadow of a dead moon. No lights, no sound, only silence. And fear. Inside, Jonas moved slowly, quietly, like the walls were listening. The girls were hiding in the back room, wrapped in dark cloth, trying to keep their body heat low, but one girl wouldn't stop shaking. Her name was Solari, tall, quiet, silver-skinned, and now she was growling. Jonas stood at the door watching her. Her eyes were glowing red, not blue. Her breath came fast, too fast. The others sat away from her, scared. "What's happening to her?" he whispered. "The hunger," said the smallest girl softly. "It comes when we aren't drained. But I milked her yesterday." "Not enough," another said. "She's changing." Jonas stepped closer. "Solari," he said. "Can you hear me?" She didn't answer. Her hands were shaking, her fingers looked sharper. Her veins glowed like fire. "Don't come closer," one girl warned. "She doesn't see us anymore." Jonas took a step anyway. "Solari, it's me. I helped you. Remember?" Her head snapped toward him, eyes wide, mouth open. She stood fast, too fast, and slammed into the wall behind her. Then she dropped to all fours and growled. "Get back!" someone screamed. But Jonas didn't move. He remembered what the others said. "Your touch calms the storm, Solari," he whispered, holding his hands out. "You're not a beast, you're not a machine, you're not a weapon, you're more." Her breathing slowed, for a moment. Then she lunged. Jonas braced for pain. But instead, he felt warmth. Her arms wrapped around him, tight, shaking, and her voice cracked. "Help me!" He dropped to his knees with her. Her body trembled. He touched her chest. Gentle, steady. Her skin sparked. Her pulse slowed, and her eyes turned blue again. The other girls exhaled. The room felt light again. But inside Jonas, something changed. He had felt her thoughts, her pain, her panic. It wasn't words. It was emotion, shared through the bond, and it left a mark. Later, when the ship lights dimmed and the girls rested, Jonas stared at his reflection. His pupils were wider. His skin had a faint glow, and his thoughts, not alone anymore. He could feel them, all of them, the fear, the memories, the silent question they all had. Will he leave us too? He didn't sleep. He just sat in the dark, holding Solari's hand, making sure she didn't shake again. But what scared him most wasn't the change in her. It was the change in himself. He was starting to understand them, not with words, but with something deeper. And once that begins, you don't go back. The screen flickered on by itself. Jonas hadn't touched it. He was still wiping glowing fluid off his hands from Solari's second episode when the ship's panel buzzed. Incoming message. Priority 1. The girls turned toward him, worried, afraid. "Don't answer it," one whispered, but it was too late. The screen lit up. Her face appeared. The lead scientist, Dr. Kellen. Calm, clean, smiling like nothing was wrong. "Hello, Jonas," she said gently. "I see you've made some strong bonds." Jonas stepped closer. "How did you find us? You didn't think we'd let a human touch classified property and just fly away, did you?" He didn't speak. She continued. "I'm not here to beg. I'm here to offer." The girls moved behind Jonas, hiding just out of view. The smallest girl gripped his shirt. "Don't listen," she whispered. "She lies." Dr. Kellen smiled wider. "You can save yourself, Jonas. Just deliver. The cargo, we won't hurt them, we'll even let you go. Full payment, clean record, back to Earth." "You're lying," Jonas said flatly. "Am I?" she replied. "Then explain why one of them nearly tore your throat open 2 nights ago. They're unstable. They're not pets. They're not people. They're bombs waiting to explode." Clenched his fists. "You created them," he said, then treated them like machines. "We made them to save lives," she said, "but they're flawed. And now you're infected with that flaw." Jonas felt that word, infected, cut deep. She leaned in close to the camera. "Help us catch them one by one quietly. We'll erase everything. You'll go home a hero." The screen blinked. A file appeared. "Contract update. Asset recovery bonus. Human agent approval pending." He stared at it. Just a thumbprint. And everything goes back to normal. No more hiding. No more glowing veins. No more shared thoughts with beings who weren't supposed to feel. He looked down at the smallest girl. She was crying, but not like a human. silent, glowing tears that floated off her cheeks like fireflies. "If you go back," she said, "they'll break us. Piece by piece. Until there's nothing left." Jonas looked around. The ship was falling apart, rations low, energy low, and he was tired. So tired. But then he looked at their faces, scared, hopeful, trusting. He turned back to the screen and smashed it with his fist. Glass cracked. Sparks flew. The girls flinched. He turned to them. "We're not running anymore." "Then what do we do?" Solari asked. Jonas stepped to the ship controls. "We fight." Jonas couldn't feel his legs anymore. Blood dripped from a cut above his eye. His left hand was broken, burned, but he was still standing, still guarding the last door. Behind it, the 6 alien girls waited, silent, glowing, scared, and the enemy was already inside the ship. They had come fast, through the moon's shadow, invisible until it was too late. Dr. Kellen's voice echoed from the speakers. "Step aside, Jonas. This doesn't have to be your end." He didn't answer. He just pressed his back to the door and breathed in the heat of the engine walls. "I told you not to come," he whispered. Inside the room, the smallest girl placed her hand on the wall. She felt his heartbeat through the metal. It was slowing. Solari stepped close. "He won't survive another wave." He knew, the first girl said softly. He knew the moment he stayed. Outside, boots stomped down the hallway. Metal clanked. Then gunfire. Jonas screamed but didn't fall. He fired back, wild and desperate. Just enough to stall them. Just enough to buy them time. But he was bleeding now. Too fast. Too much. The girls huddled around the glowing panel. "We can leave," one said. "We can fly now." "No," said the first girl. "We have to save him. But if we open the door..." "We change the future," she whispered. With one hand, she touched the core panel. With the other, she ripped the tag from her own chest, sparks flying. "No more chains," she said. Then she hit the emergency override. The door opened. Light poured into the hallway. Jonas fell back, ready to die. But warm arms caught him, 6 arms. Glowing hands pressed to his chest, and he breathed again. Not just air. Life. The girls formed a circle around him. Their bodies sparked, linked by light, and Jonas felt everything. Their memories, their pain, their fear, their love. They gave it all to him, and he gave them the last of his strength. The light exploded outwards like a wave. Guards screamed and dropped, weapons melted. The hallway fell silent. Jonas opened his eyes. The ship had changed. So had the girls. Their forms were no longer human-like, no longer alien. They were something new, something free. "You were never meant to stay," Jonas whispered. The first girl knelt beside him, smiled softly. "We were never meant to live," she said. "But you changed that." "Go," he said, "before they come again." But she shook her head. "We're not leaving without you. You'll be hunted. Then they'll learn what it means to hunt a human's heart." They lifted him, not like a patient, like a king. Carried him onto the new ship, one they built in secret, with the pieces of the old and the power he gave them. As they escaped into the stars, the planet burned behind them. Jonas, weak, leaned into her shoulder. "What happens now?" he asked. She smiled, placing his hand on her glowing chest. "Now, we write our own story.